Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for Tyler Perry's Sistas. So, this episode started out with Andy getting over to Paris's place, and she is trying to seduce him, and it's like he's trying to be a gentleman, and he was like, no, let me give you a little bit of coffee. And so she was like, well, I'm still gonna want it whether you give me coffee or not. I hope you ain't trying to sober me up and think something gonna change. I still want it. It is what it is. And she had to like take off her wrap dress situation and reveal the Savage X Fenty stuff that she had on, the lingerie, whatever kind of lingerie she had on, for him to be like, oh, okay, this is what we doing. And then they proceeded to have sex. So, we're gonna find out some more stuff later on about Paris, his situation, and all of that. So anyway, Danny is still at the bar dancing with James, and Maurice took it upon himself to ask that bartender that we see all the time, what's his deal? What's his tea? What he got going on? And so he was like, I don't know what you mean, like what you talking about. He wanted to know if he was on the DL, like what was going on, because he found him, he ain't no ugly dude. So he was like, like, what's the hustle? What's really going on? We find out that old boy usually will go to the highest bidder. So I guess he think that she got money or something. And he was just like, oh no, what we not fit to do with this? Let me go get this heifer. So he went over there trying to interrupt their little mood and was like, the bar's closed. You can go home now. And so she was like, oh, well, where's, everybody else? And so he was like, well, why you was over here booed up with them? Everybody been gone. And you the only one left. The bar closed, go home. So she was like, oh, okay, well, me and him, we gonna go home, bye. And so he was like, wait a minute, oh, you ain't finna go nowhere with him. Y'all, he was so vague. My thing is this, I understand that Maurice and Danny don't get along, but if you really feel in your heart of hearts that this is a scam situation, a situation where you already know it's gonna come back to bite you in a sense because you work closely with her friend, then why not just straight up say what it is and go on about your business? Y'all, he was vague about the situation. He was like, so where you live? Ask the dude where he live. He live up the street. He was like, yeah, walking distance. He ain't got no car. All this other stuff. And I'm like, well, I hope you didn't think that was gonna deter Danny. Danny really don't care like that. So, I mean, at times she tried to act like she cared. She didn't care about that. It just got to the point where nothing he was saying, because he was so vague, was prompted her to be like, you know what? Let me leave this dude where I found him. And he was like, well, basically like, what's shoot? Since she ain't gonna, listen to what I'm saying, drop me off first. First of all, why are we sitting up here as viewers being led to believe that Danny all of a sudden has her car? I could have swore that like 2 episodes ago, maybe episode or 2 ago, they said that Sabrina came over to Danny's house with an Uber share to make sure that they have fun while at this event and they don't have to worry about driving because they already know they're going to be drunk. So ain't nobody got time for drunk driving. So how all of a sudden does she have her car? How? Explain. Y'all, I was like, all of a sudden she got her car? What is going? Anyway, y'all, I was like, all right, now we just finna all of a sudden miraculously just the car's here miraculously. Oh, okay. So anyway, Danny ended up bringing old boy to her place. This is when she finds out some very vital information, and I'm done. I am so done. So they talking, and so she kind of down for the cause. She down for the get down, and then for whatever reason, James says to her, "Oh well, I don't want none of that. I don't do meth." And so she was like, What did you say?" Oh, boy was talking about meth. So she was like, don't nobody do no meth over here. I'm talking about weed. And y'all know she's a weed head alcoholic. They made that song for her. But anyway, she was like, no, I'm talking about weed. And he was like, oh, well, I thought you did meth too because old boy do meth. So she was like, what? Who was you talking about? He was talking about Calvin. Says that Calvin does meth, and meth was all over the counter at the bar and all this other stuff. He do it all the time. He just saw him in the bathroom that night doing meth, and he sees him do that all the time. And y'all know he basically lived at that bar before his daddy passed away. So yeah, it seems as though that information sobered her up real quick to the point where she was like, I'm gonna need for you to excuse me for a minute. I gotta make a phone call. And she ended up calling Sabrina, kept calling her over and over again. She was in the middle of having sex with Calvin. Therefore, she didn't answer the phone. So then she finally answered the phone and was like, Daddy, why do you keep calling me, girl? Like, what is going on here? And, she didn't, at first she was just like, what you got going on? What's going on? Why you been answering your phone? And then eventually she was like, I'm here with the bartender, and he told me that your man Calvin be out here doing meth. And she was like, the phone is breaking up. Because at first I was like, is she not really deep into what has just happened to her body, that she is that discombobulated and her equilibrium has been thrown off like that? Like, is that what we got going on? But no. Apparently she did hear it, because during that little break, they were talking, and it was mainly him talking, and he was like, I want to have kids, and, y'all, did I hear correctly? Did he say that he already has one child, a son? Because it sounded like he said, I love little man, but I wish I had met you 5 years ago, because I would have had some kids with you, and I could have, shared that situation with my father before he passed away and all this stuff. And I was just like, where did this child come from? Did I miss that part? I don't know what's going on. But he talking about he want to have like 5 kids. And so she was kind of like, ooh, that's a lot. And it's like everything he was saying now was kind of like, ooh, you taking me too fast. And so he was like, I want to become exclusive. And so she was looking like, yeah, I don't know about all that. I don't think I'm ready for a relationship right now. And y'all, that turned him completely off, and he was about to get up and leave, and he trying to play it off like he ain't upset. And I'm like, you are clearly upset. Let's just stop the lies. And yeah. So she was just like, I'm not ready for a relationship, but I don't want you to leave. And so he stayed there. So she tried to resume the sexual situation, and he was like, nah, we both got to get up early in the morning, all this other stuff for work. And I'm like, good and well, you and your feelings. And, he even was talking about I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need to fall back or whatever. And she, kind of tried to reassure him that she just needs some time to think things over or whatever. And I'm just like, you in your feelings, because she was like, nah, let's just be clear. So anyway, Danny is trying to figure out why this boy taking so long to come out her bathroom. And so she calling for him. This fool said he taking a shower and he need to brush his teeth, and he using her toothbrush. Who told you to go in the bathroom to take a full-on shower? You doing the most. And you using her toothbrush? You done lost your mind. You nasty. You a whole nother level of nasty. You're nasty. But anyway, I was like, what is going on? So this fool finally came out like, Danny is already done anyway. She's like, you know what? I ain't got time. So this fool came out naked. He did everything I already figured that was going to happen. He did came out there naked, glistening and looking good. And, Danny looking like, what's going on here? This fool. This part had me dying. So this fool came out there and was like, yeah. And he was all aggressive with everything he was saying. And I was like, why is he so aggressive? Like, he ain't saying nothing. I mean, I understand that there are moments where you can be aggressive, but you don't know her. You don't know her kinks. You don't know what she lived for. You don't know what she here for. But he was like aggressive the whole time. Like, there was never a sensual moment. There was no leading up to the aggression. He just was doing the most. He basically was like, I'm about to eat that booty. I'm about to do this. I'm about to get every single one of them toes. I'm about to get that crack. I was just like, and Daddy was looking like, what? She was like, yeah, I've never had that experience, and I'm good on that. I don't want to have it. So no, that man proceeded to eat her booty like groceries, even though she didn't want it. And like the whole situation looked awkward just seeing her react to what was happening. Because it's like, in my mind, I'm like, are you enjoying it? But you don't want it to happen? It was like, y'all, I don't even want to say it. I'm not even going to say that because I don't want to trigger nobody. But y'all like, hey, I was just like, I felt uncomfortable, and it was a whole acting moment, because it's like, Didn't nobody ask you for that. She already said no thank you. Like, she was just like already like, nah, bro, I'm good. But you proceeded to do what you wanted to do anyway. And then he was like, grab my neck, girl. And he was like all behind her. He was like, grab my neck or grab my head, girl. And it's like, he was doing I was like, sir, you got to do all of this. You doing too much. I'm tired. So anyway, back at Karen's place, Karen, of course, allowed Aaron to come over, and he said, I'll be in another room, and I'll be the strong one tonight, because they know how they get. And so she ended up, waking up, screaming and hollering, and she had a bad nightmare about Zach. I think that she had a nightmare about him getting killed. And he came in there, comforted her, and was like, if you want to call him, you can, because she picked up the phone, and he was like, what are you doing? And she was like, I'm calling Zach. I gotta make sure he's all right. And then he was like, no, he's fine. You ain't got to do all that. But if you want to, you can. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to need for you to know she can do what she want to do. That's her phone, but okay. Like, I was like, you don't run nothing up here. Oh, no, I just be having these moments where I'm like, yeah, she can call him if she want to. That don't mean he going to answer or, whatever. And, we, as the viewer, we know the situation that's going on currently with Zach, but she don't know. Yeah, and I really want to see how that's going to pan out. But anyway. But yeah, he was like, I will stay right here and I will just hold you. Because at this point, I'm pretty sure she ain't really going back to bed like that. Not alone and being able to just do it. So he was like, I'll be here and I'll just hold you. So, the morning after, Andy and Paris are laid up on the couch. And I'm tired anyway, because I'm like, why is y'all on the couch? But okay. Andy is asleep on top of him. So then we see this woman walk in, y'all, and I was like, hold up, is that his mama? What is going on here? So she walk over to their clothes that are sprawled all on the floor and pick them up, put them in the corner. And I'm like, is this his mama? What is going on? Y'all, she went over to the dishes and rattles the dishes. And they barely get up then. And then Andy get up and was like, what's that noise? Y'all, he wake up, it is his mama. She realizes that it's his mama, and she's looking like, hi, Miss Irene, how you doing? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm done. Like, I was like, why? What is going on? He living with his mama? What is going on here? So later on, he says that she lived with him, and she says she lived in the basement, and I'm just like, I mean, I understand her medical situation, but I just was not expecting them to be living together. I was just like, oh, okay, what is going on here? Anyway, she proceeded to tell her son to go in a whole nother room, and like, he argued her down. I was just like, I wish I would say any of this to my mama, because I would have got backhand in front of company, whoever else, at whatever age I am. What is going on here? Where were y'all raised? I wouldn't dare. Oh my gosh. If I wanted to live to see tomorrow, I ain't talking back to my mama. What is going on here? But anyway, I digress, y'all. I see moments like this. I'm like, ooh, it would have been flowers singing. Ooh, it would have been sad singing and flower bringing. I don't understand. But anyway, so he eventually goes to another room, and she looking like, really? You gonna leave me here by myself? So they talking. And she's like, what's really going on with you? Like, she done read Andy down. It's like, nope, what is going on? I heard everything that happened. I heard everything he said to you. I heard everything you said to him. I heard everything that happened up here. And so, to make a long story short, she was like, my son told me that you don't want him, you didn't want him, and now all of a sudden you up in here having sex with him. What is really going on? Who are you mad at? You mad at your man? What is going on? So she basically was like, yeah, I was, kind of upset. And at first, she kind of tried to make it seem like, no. And I'm like, girl, anyway. So, yeah, that mess, I was like, oh, my gosh. So, she was like, that's not right. He's trying to be a good man, and you over here using him, all this other stuff. And then she ended up calling her son back in there. She was like, I already know you was listening at the door, and you got to go on here, take her home and apologize, because he got a lot of explaining to do, too. So, I was like, oh, my gosh, a lot is happening in this moment. Y'all. I don't know if this is the part when it happened or not, but y'all, they showed Gary for a moment in jail. his frat brother apparently is the one who's gonna help to get him out. And I rolled my eyes as soon as he said frat brother. Anyway, and he was like, well, did you do what I asked you to do? He had this man to go down to the gay bar and see where Andy was because he knew that Andy was going to be there. And he wanted to get him to go over there to apologize on his behalf. Well, he couldn't get in, so he says. I feel like he didn't want to get in because he didn't want to be around all the gay people. But anyway, he did get a glimpse and saw that Andy was with someone, and he described him, and he already knew who it was. And I'm like, yep, he probably done went into I'm beyond crazy mode when y'all ain't even together and you still got a whole wife out here. Like, stop. But anyway, he done went into crazy mode again. I cannot. Then he went back to the get my money. I want my money. Her money should be in her job. Go get my money from her job. All this other stuff. I'm like, boy, if you don't go somewhere and sit down. So anyway, Fatima and Zach. It's the morning after for them as well. Zach is in the bed sleeping good. Fatima is up and ready to go to work. And, he is, here for how she looked. He is here for everything. He has a slight headache because he was drinking a whole lot and a whole lot was being done. And she was like, look, I believe in you. And she just kept saying all kinds of encouraging things. And so he was like, you ain't like this every day, are you? You don't get up just doing affirmations, do you? And she was like, yeah, I actually do. And like she's being very, very encouraging and all this other stuff, right? He ain't used to that. And he was just like, why? And I'm like, Lord, you are so used to people just like Karen being Karen that you are not used to anybody encouraging you. That is sad. But anyway, she was like, look, I am not worried about you being here long. Because he was like, really? You gonna leave me here at your house? And she was like, yeah, I'm not worried about you doing anything. Because if you steal from me, that would be stupid of you. But anyway, no, I'm not worried about you being here at my home alone. And she proceeded to give him the keys to a truck, which is owned by the company that he's going to be working for. And she told him that she was going to send over the new address to the place where they're going to be working at. He's going to have to work probably all night for that to go towards the money that he is essentially putting in to be a part of that business. So she was like, look, I did everything I was supposed to do and you're going to be good. So don't worry about that. Y'all, he was like, well, when am I going to see you again? And she was like, when I want you to see me. Aaron got up and made Karen breakfast. They had a little moment. Andy came over and he ended up leaving. They had a moment where they were talking and she was like, look, I did some stuff. I was in my feelings about Gary and I'm like, girl, we already know that. And see, the last time this situation happened, I was like, well, what am I not catching? It went over my head, but this time I caught it. Andy was like, you said stuff again. And she was saying that because normally Karen is cussing up a storm. And so she was like, the pastor got you. And so she was like, no, ain't nobody got me. And then eventually she was like, yeah. And I'm like, I mean, ain't nothing wrong with saying stuff instead of, cursing or whatever. See, that's what I do. I don't, use profanity or whatever. So I'm not like a lot of the other YouTubers. A lot of the other YouTubers curse and all that stuff. I don't do that. Like the most I say is heifer or something like that. So anyway, I'm just like, girl, don't try to come for her for doing that because you did the most just now. But anyway, so the last part of the episode happened. And Preston is in Danny's apartment. And so she's looking like, how you got in here? And I'm like, girl, why you keep asking the same questions that you already know the answer to? That landlord lets him in. And so I'm looking like, wait a minute, where's old boy at? So she thought about it and was like, I gotta go to work. And so he was like, since when are you pressed to go to work like that? You ain't never trying to go to work. And so she gonna lie talking about she up for a promotion that she trying to get. And then he was like, is somebody in here? I hear something. And so she was like, I mean, I do have neighbors. And he was like, I have good hearing. I don't know what you're talking about. Eventually, old boy came out naked and was like, hey, what's up, man? And that's how the episode ended. Anyway, y'all, I'm about to get ready for work. I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. Y'all, it is cold out here. It's cold out here. So I'm about to go bundle up and get ready to go to work. Y'all have a good one and be safe out there. I'll see y'all later on for something else. Bye.